WWE recently unveiled something new that I think is a great idea, but I think was executed a little poorly. So let's talk about it. A few weeks ago, WWE released the Women's United States Championship, which is a much needed mid card title for the women's division. I know fans have been asking for this for a very long time, and I, for one, am very excited they finally took that leap that was much needed for this women's division that deserves all the recognition that they can be given. My only problem with it is I wish they would have spent some time and maybe, just maybe, not done a US title. Now, hear me out. I think the concept is very, very good, and the US title has a long history and a very, very good history within the WWE and WCW. But I think that it would have been even better if they would have made up a brand new title. It seems like recently the women pretty much get just what the men have, with women slapped in front of it and a white leather strap. Nothing really aesthetically changes about it to make it specifically for women other than the white strap. And it's kind of sad to see. We see this copy and paste style in WWE a lot, and it's kind of getting sad to see because this is a billion-dollar company that has refused to invest anything into new ideas and new products. I get the idea that what isn't broke doesn't need to be fixed, but this was an opportunity to give something to the women that they have never had before, one, and two, something that could be solely theirs. If you look at all the women's titles, they're exactly the same cookie cutter format from the men's, except with the word women in front of the title. This was an opportunity to do something bigger than just giving the women a mid-card title on Smackdown. This was the opportunity to create something brand new for these women to aspire to, instead of something that the men also already have and have had for a very long time. I wouldn't be upset if they just brought the Divas title back and made it a mid-card title. I think that title has enough history alone to warrant it being used. And I understand the connotation the word diva has for the women's division and the push to be just the women's division instead of the Divas division. But I think even using the Divas title would have added just that element of, we actually care about the women's division, we care about the history of women's wrestling, and we want to push it forward. This isn't necessarily a step backwards, but it's more of a step sideways instead of a step forward. More or less like a step diagonally than anything. And this copy-paste mentality is so sad to see on so many different levels. There's a ton of things in WWE that if you look at them just for even a couple seconds, you'll realize this is just a reused and rehashed version of something that they had already previously used. There's almost no creativity in the corporate offices of WWE anymore. The writers have been extremely creative, and the producers have been extremely creative, and everything as far as the show goes has been extremely creative, and it's some of the best that WWE has done in recent memory. But when it comes to stage design, the sets for the PLEs, the belts, everything else is just kind of find one way that it works, and everything else will fall into place for every other event and every other thing you need. And it's lacking character. It's lacking something that makes it unique, something that defines this item, this event, as something sole by itself. And I think this belt is just a symbol of a much larger problem with the WWE and the creative process that they hold. But I digress. I still believe that the mid-card title for the women's division is the best thing for the women's division that they've done in a long time. I'm just so disappointed by WWE's use of property that they already own instead of creating something new. I don't know how long they've been cooking this idea up, but they probably had plenty of time to figure something new out. They have an extensive list of women's wrestlers and history of women's wrestling that they could have pulled from and made anything, but they still chose to use something that the men were already doing and men were already using. It's extremely disappointing, and part of me feels like it's a little disrespectful. If we want the women's division to flourish and be the best in the business, they need things that set them apart from the men's side of the business. There needs to be a reason for the women to come and try to be a part of the best women's division in wrestling. And to see that the final prize is the exact same thing that the men have, it's a little sad. It seems like every time WWE does something really, really good for the women, they only take a half step forward in the direction that they should be taking a full step or maybe even 2 steps forward in. Just like the Evolution pay-per-view. That was a great pay-per-view, and they haven't done it again since. They have such a strong women's roster that this pay-per-view could potentially be one of the best of the year, but they just don't do it. The Mae Young Classic. The Mae Young Classic was amazing, but where's that been? They're not doing anything with it. I feel like there's a small amount of underlying disrespect to the women's division in WWE, and it's honestly sad to see. You're the biggest company in wrestling, and you can't be creative for them for 15 minutes and think of something new. It's disappointing. It's extremely disappointing, and I don't know. I don't even know where to go from this point because they've already announced it. And I'm sure the Women's Intercontinental Championship will be coming very soon because you can't have an unbalanced roster with the belts. But again, I'll have the exact same complaint again. I have the exact same complaint about the Women's NXT North American Championship. It's the same belt in white. There's a chance to do something really cool and do something really good, and WWE flops once again. Will this stop me from watching the show? No, not at all. I still think the show is good. I think the show is good, and they're giving opportunities to women that they have refused to do in the past. And it's a step in the right direction. It's not the step that I think they should have taken, but I'm just a mark on the internet. What do I know? As far as the US Championship tournament goes, I sincerely hope that Chelsea Green wins the title. I couldn't think of a more deserving person that's in this tournament to win this title. The only other person that would come to mind is Michin, but when I think of all that Chelsea has done just for women's wrestling in general, she deserves her flowers and deserves an entire field of them. Now, Michin's been an absolute workhorse for the WWE this year, and her time is definitely coming, and I can't wait to see it. But for now, I think the inaugural champion should be Chelsea. And if you think, why does Chelsea Green deserve this title? Well, I'll tell you, her character work is flawless. Her in-ring ability is astronomical. I don't see a reason why she hasn't won the WWE Women's Championship, but this is an opportunity for people like Chelsea to shine, who they haven't been put in the top spotlight yet, but definitely deserve recognition for the work and the effort that they have put into this division and for this company. It is excellent that they finally did this. I hope something truly good comes from it, and I can let my worries finally go away when all this is said and done. But for now, that is it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any differing opinions, let me know. I'm more than happy to discuss this. I've thought about this for a long time, starting when they unveiled the NXT North American Women's Championship. And this video has been sort of a long time coming because these thoughts and feelings have sort of just boiled up inside of me. And when I saw that belt, they just kind of came out. But that's going to be it for this one. I will see you next Wednesday for another fun video going over some history of WWE. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Peace.